Good idea. Be Josh Allen and brag about the Buffalo Sabres. Bad idea. Be Mike Vrabel and do whatever the heck it is he did today. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And the Buffalo Sabres are back in action tonight, 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific. I say that because, I need to remember what time they play. They play early for me. And it's going to be a good game. We talked about the game yesterday. We talked about how exciting it was. It was electric. The Sabres came back and won in stunning fashion. I'll be curious to see if they keep up the pace and they keep up the hits they had in game one. I expect they will, and I expect a Sabres victory. My prediction, I'm going to go 4-2. I'm going to stick with what works. And I think the Sabres are going to put a lot of shots on net, and I think they're going to put a lot of bodies into the boards, frankly. I think they're going to make a point. And then they're going to go up in the series 2-0, and Bruins will be on sweep watch. It'll be great. But we're not there yet. We'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, we can compare two NFL press conferences that occurred recently and sort of get a sense of who's kind of who does a good press conference and who does a bad press conference. Josh Allen, good press conference. Talk about the Buffalo Sabres. Talk about how he's excited for the upcoming season, how he's really excited to work with all the new players, how he's really excited for the off-season training program. How he's buying into the system. Bad press conference. Whatever the hell Mike Vrabel did in New England today. For those of you who don't know, Mike Vrabel today did a press conference for the first time since the news broke that he and Diana Rossini spent some alone time together at an adults-only resort in Sedona, California. For those of you wondering why they were in Sedona, California, the owners' meetings were happening in Phoenix, Arizona. For further clarification as to where they were 2 hours away from the owners' meetings. So all the talk of, they were just casually hanging out. There was clearly a group of 6 people. They were having friends. Okay, where's the evidence of that? Anyways, Mike Vrabel today gave a press conference where he said a lot of words, said a whole bunch of words. A lot of stuff came out of his mouth. Not a single word was, I messed up. I'm sorry. I'll do better in the future. No. But a situation that he had previously called laughable led to some difficult conversations with those nearest and dearest to him, which he said were good and productive conversations. Hey, honey, I cheated on you. Okay, good talk. Apparently, that's how things went down in the Mike Vrabel household. Again, I don't like talking about Dave Portnoy, but I'm going to do it again anyway because he had to retweet it and open his big mouth and say, this is what accountability looks like. Really, Dave? That's what accountability looks like? It looks like a guy standing in front of a group of reporters thanking them for being patient while he decided whether or not he should respond to something that he definitely needed to respond to. That's what's frustrating in the whole situation, right? What's a little bit frustrating and a little bit unfair is that it forces me to agree with Jameel Hill, who I normally don't want to agree with. She and I just don't normally agree on our sports takes. But in this case, she's absolutely right. Diana Rossini, for whatever you may think about the actions she took, and she absolutely deserves to be investigated by her place of employment, functionally speaking, she lost her job because of this. She had a contract that was ending June 30th. She chose to resign. I would guess behind the scenes she was invited to resign. In a normal situation, Diana Rossini likely would have had that contract renewed. She was an NFL insider. She dropped a lot of big scoops. She was very involved in the Athletics NFL coverage. it's going to have career repercussions for Diana throughout her career. She'll probably go on like a podcast apology tour, right? And try to rehab her image in some way. And she'll end up back in sports media, but she's going to bite the bullet for it. Mike Vrabel, it seems like he's going to get off scot-free with no repercussions. And at best, at best, it looks like he had to slightly embarrass himself in front of reporters. That, I think, is the most punishment that it looks like he's going to receive right now. And we found out today that it appears the Patriots organization tried to exert influence to prevent the story from coming out, meaning they tried to use Robert Kraft's connections in the sports media world to pressure, I believe it was the New York Post who originally broke the story, pressure the New York Post to not release the photos. That's a bad look. That's a really bad look, right? Because it takes both the statement that Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel originally said, where they said it was a completely innocent interaction and it was completely laughable, a laughable story, and turns it into a story that people were trying to cover up before it was even a story. The story hadn't even broken yet, and we're already trying to cover it up. This was just bad news, Bears, all around. And the sad news is that only one party in the whole thing is having accountability. There's only one party who is going to receive any level of punishment for it. For some reason, Mike Vrabel is going to get off scot-free. And I don't know why. It drives me mad. It is maddening for a guy who preaches accountability and for a guy who told a player on his team, you should really be more careful about the things that you do and say, when that player, Travion Henderson, dared to sort of, quote a Bible verse. Of all the harmful things you can do, quoting a Bible verse probably isn't up there very high. If you quote it out of context, sure, maybe it is. My point with all that is just, Portnoy, that wasn't accountability. Mike Vrabel, that was not accountability. Thanking reporters for being patient while you had a bunch of conversations that you said were difficult but were good and productive. Good for you. And again, proper context for all that. It's sports. Nobody's going to jail. Nobody robbed anybody. Nobody murdered anybody. Inside of the proper context of sports, it's a bad look for everybody involved. But in happier news, we get to focus on the Sabres tonight. Josh Allen is focusing on the Sabres. We're focusing on the Sabres. We here at 10 Minutes with Nick will be focusing on the Sabres throughout the playoffs. I'm wearing my classic Max Afinogenov jersey for the game tonight. Super excited. I'm actually going to get to watch it out here on the West Coast. Thrilled that I will be watching the game. Less thrilled that I will be watching it on ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. And I'll be watching their terrible coverage instead of the amazing local Buffalo coverage on MSG Network. I wish I could watch that. Can't get it out here. It's a little bit tough. But yeah, I'm predicting a Sabres win, hoping for a Sabres blowout, hoping to go up 2-0 in the series, and then we're on to Boston. And for those of you who don't know hockey, when I say we're on to Boston, I mean literally, we're on to Boston. The team then, after this game, takes a trip down I-90 and plays at TD Garden in front of the Bruins faithful. And then we find out if we can't just make that stadium just a little bit quiet. Just a little bit quiet. I think we can. I don't know that Tage Thompson is going to get another 2 goals tonight. If I had to pick some guys who are going to get on the board tonight, Josh Doan, he strikes me as one. He strikes me as one guy who's going to get on the board tonight. I like to think Alex Took will get another one. I really like to think that. And you know what? Just for kicks and giggles, give one to Rasmus Dahlin. This isn't sports gambling advice. This is just me guessing into the void who's going to have the hot hand tonight. And for the 4th goal, For the fourth goal, Peyton Krebs. Give one to Peyton Krebs. I like that idea. I'm out of time. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know I'm going to enjoy the Sabres game tonight. I hope you enjoy the Sabres game tonight. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.